Welcome back to Harry's Book Cafe, everyone. Grab a drink, settle in, because today we need to have a serious conversation. We need to talk about one of the most ubiquitous, inescapable books of the last few years. And that is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This book was so hyped, so absolutely everywhere, that I honestly couldn't avoid it. It sat on my Kindle for what feels like forever, gathering digital dust. While I keep putting it off, thinking surely it can't be that good, finally I decided it is time. I'm gonna find out what the fuss is all about. And you know what? To be completely honest, I was massively disappointed. I know, please put down the pitchforks, guys, please. Now, on a serious note, this book is the ultimate getaway thriller. This is the book that raised Weatherstone's book club and half of the TikTok, and everyone swore it was a modern masterpiece. But for me, it flatlined. Today, I want to talk about exactly why. This isn't a quick rant, it's a deep analysis of a literary phenomenon and the exact mechanisms that make a book popular versus the mechanism that actually make a book good. Let's break it down. Okay, so let's get into the bone of the issue. My first major grievance was the pacing. The book is aggressively marketed as this breakneck, edge-of-your-seat psychological thriller. But in my experience, it was a tedious, agonizingly slow crawl. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a slow burn. A well-executed slow burn builds atmosphere, develops tension, and makes you second-guessing every shadow. But there is a massive difference between building suspense and simply withholding information. Michaelides didn't build, he drip feeds. The information is handed out on a tiny plastic spoon. We spent chapters and chapters waiting for Alicia to speak, while Theo goes on endless, repetitive tangents. For a genre that relies on steady narrative engine to drive the readers forward, this felt like an engine permanently stuck in idle. It didn't feel like masterly craft mystery. It felt like I was reading 300 pages of preamble just to get to the one thing that the author actually care about, and that's the ending. When the anticipation of a book is entirely built on when is something going to happen, rather than what's happening right now, the pacing has failed. Which brings me to the absolute anchor dragging this book down, and that is our narrator and protagonist, Theo Faber. Look, a protagonist doesn't have to be a saint. They don't even have to be particularly nice, but they do have to be compelling. If I'm trapped in a character's head for 300 pages, I need to find a perspective fascinating. Instead, I find Theo profoundly, deeply annoying. Let's look at a key moment in this book. When Theo realizes his wife, Kathy, is having an affair, he tracks them down. He follows them to a forest. Now, when 99% of human beings realize that their partner is cheating on them in a secluded wood, they would do one or two things. They either confront them or they walk away in disgust or heartbreak. What does Theo do? He decided to hide in the bushes and watch. I mean, come on. It's passive voyeurism. It's creepy, it's bizarre, and it makes him utterly unreliable right off the bat. It was the first of many baffling choices that had made me physically shouting at the pages. But it gets worse. Theo is supposed to be a highly trained, practicing forensic psychotherapist. Yet, it feels like the author has never actually met a therapist, let alone researched the profession. Theo's professional boundaries don't just slip, they are non-existent. He behaves like a rogue private eye, interviewing his parents' family members, breaking protocols, and crossing the ethical line that would get his license revoked in a heartbeat. Before the twist, his actions make him look incredibly incompetent. And after the twist, the entire narrative logic of his professional standing collapses. It makes the actual practice of psychotherapy looks ridiculously simple and cartoonish, which, as a reader who appreciates psychological depth, felt incredibly cheap. And the flatline isn't just reserved for Theo. Every single supporting character in the novel is a cardboard cutout. They aren't living, breathing people with complex motives They are simply plot devices. Christina, Lydia, Paul, they exist solely to look suspicious at key moments to throw you off the scent. They are red herrings with names. How can we care about solving a mystery when every single piece on the chessboard is made of cheap plastic? Then we have the romance, specifically the relationship between Theo and his wife Kathy. Their meet cute is a masterpiece in superficiality. They meet one evening, she immediately dumps her boyfriend, he immediately cheats on his current girlfriend, and they slept together that very night. I mean, sure, things like that happen, but you shouldn't boast that. And that's exactly what his wife is doing to his colleague, boasting about the encounter. I mean, talking about lack of morality, of yardstick of morality. What makes it worse is that later in the book, Theo described their love as beautiful, deep, and epic. And yet, how does he describe their physical connection? He repeatedly used the verb as in we all the time to define their bond. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not a Puritan, not at all. But there's a massive narrative dissonance here. You cannot tell me a relationship is sacred, soulful, and poetic, while constantly showing me a bond built entirely on cheap impulsives and purely physical actions. The narrative is actively lying to us, trying to force a depth that the prose simply hasn't earned. Going through my sheer annoyance with Theo actually got me thinking about something much bigger. A fundamental concept in creative writing and storytelling, the philosophy of likability. Why do we as readers love or hate certain characters? Let's do a comparison. Think of a series like A Game of Thrones. Characters like Tyrion or Jaime have done objectively horrific, murderous things. They have betrayed people, started war, executed enemies. Yet, as a fandom, we adore them. We root for them. We don't get irritated by them the way readers get irritated by Theo. Why is that? It's because we forgive moral depravity, but we do not forgive passivity, hypocrisy, or sheer stupidity. A character can be a villain, but if they are competent, active, and honest about who they are, we are captivated. Theo is none of these things. He is passive, he is self-deluding, and he is professionally incompetent. I actually find this dynamic so fascinating that I have produced a video on exactly the psychology behind why we like certain characters and hate certain characters. So if you don't want to miss that video, please subscribe to the channel. That video should be out already, I hope. If it is, it should be here. Now let's go back to The Silent Patient. If the pacing of this book is a slog, characters are cardboard, and Protagonist is an ethical nightmare, how on earth did this book become a multi-million copy bestseller? It all comes down to one thing, and that is the twist. Let's be entirely fair here. The twist is clever. It's a brilliant high concept, elevating peach of an ending. Michaelides made a massive gamble. He waged that if his ending was shocking enough, readers would retroactively forgive the first 300 pages of mediocrity, which they had to wade through to get there. As for million casual readers, this gamble paid off. But a great novel cannot just be a vehicle for a single twist. If you are a seasoned thriller enthusiast, if you have spent time with the intricate prose of Tana French, or the sharp, razor-aware character psychology of Flynn, The Silent Patient is going to be incredibly shallow. It's a getaway thriller. It's designed for mainstream audience that value destination rather than the journey. But popularity does not equal quality. These are my thoughts, but I want to hear from you. Am I being too harsh? Did the twist completely make up for the pacing or lack of for you? Please let's have a polite debate in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, do me a massive favor please. Hit that subscribe button and give the video a like and share it with your friends. And thank you so much for coming to the cafe today. I really enjoyed your company and I shall see you in the next video. Cheerio guys.